right, Bert, thank you. Great to have you with us here on the post-game show. Kevin Durant getting physical. That's the stuff that posters are made of as he goes for 34 tonight. Kyrie nearly matching him with 33 as the Nets hang on to beat the Hawks 120-116. It's great to have you with us in our Yes Studio. Bob Lorenz and Rebecca Lobo with you. This did not come easy. The Atlanta Hawks would simply not go away, but in the end, the Nets able to hold them off by 4.
I think maybe it's by design. Brooklyn just wants to make sure all of their fans watch the game till the absolute very end, because it felt like, all right, multiple times in this game they're going to bust open, they're going to extend this lead, and Atlanta just simply wouldn't go away. And Brooklyn really helped them at times by turning the basketball over, but ultimately when they needed to make the big plays, when they needed to make the winning plays, they were able to do that in the end, and they needed to come away with a victory.
So the Nets are trying to make it exciting and just keep people there for the food, drink, more concessions, that kind of thing?
I think that's the reason. Yeah, maybe to help with our sponsors and commercials as well.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights and show you exactly how they got this win and kept the fans packed in Barclays. And we started off with the Nets. Good ball movement ends up in the hands of Kevin Durant, who was a force.
Yeah, especially in the first quarter, they moved the ball beautifully. Kevin Durant, of course, was outstanding, but I thought that was their best quarter in terms of ball movement in the game.
Ben Simmons got the start. First game back in 5 games, and they set this ball up. Joe Harris, nice little feed underneath.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. 10 assists in that first quarter. They just continued to make the extra pass. The ball was really popping around the perimeter.
Turnovers became a little bit of a problem, though, there in the first and second quarter. Durant losing it. Trent Forrest picks it up. Trae Young floats it in. Suddenly the game's tied at 43. You also mentioned T.J. Warren and the work he did.
Yeah, T.J. Warren was absolutely terrific in this game. You see him with the steal and coming down the nice little dish off to Harris, but he was that added third scorer that we were talking about at the beginning of the game. Who was it going to be for Brooklyn? It was Warren.
Seth Curry was trying to be that guy. Did not get that one to go, but Kyrie gets physical underneath the basket, gets it to follow up. Nets by 4. Later, Young will knock down the step-back 3 from the wing. He can hit from anywhere on the court. Hawks keeping it within 3, and then moments later, Durant's going to end a 9-0 run to give the Nets a 5-point lead.
Yeah, Kevin Durant, we saw this here in the second quarter, but we also saw it down the stretch. When Brooklyn needs an answer, it's automatic. Just go to KD.
And you know who the Hawks go to. Trae Young, nice little drive there. 22 points in the first half for him as they were tied at 64. Time winding down, turnover by the Hawks. This time, Nets move it up the other way. Bad pass by Edmund Sumner, but intercepted by A.J. Griffin. And then he gets it stolen by Harris. So good work here by the defense.
Yeah, it really was. And that play started with Warren with the good hands to get the initial steal and then finished with his dunk.
First half, Kyrie was just 3 for 6, but third quarter, this is where he got it going.
I mean, Kyrie came alive in the third quarter, in particular from outside the three-point line, coming off a game against Charlotte where he struggled from deep. He did not miss in the third quarter, including 3 from behind the arc.
Look at Royce O'Neal just set him up there. That's a tough 3, and Irving got it to go as the Nets built a 10-point lead, but the Hawks able to fight back.
Wait, did you just see that? It's not easy to pick a guy up off the floor just using 1 or 2 fingers. That was impressive.
Is that like doing 1-finger push-ups?
Yes.
Yeah. You see what happened there. The Hawks getting it within 3. Bogdanovich was terrific in the second half. Irving later feeding to Warren. Warren again, the 3 from deep. Nets by 8. But again, the Hawks here, in fact, tie a 96-95 Nets. They take the lead.
Yeah, and Brooklyn did this to themselves a lot in the third quarter. They had a stretch where I think they had 3 or 4 turnovers in a row. Atlanta able to capitalize, but Bogdanovich was absolutely on fire. That was the big one from Kevin Durant, right when he came in the game. That
was your dunk of the game. It tied the game at 103. Later, good ball movement again, and O'Neal getting it to who else but Durant.
I mean, O'Neal could have taken that shot. Instead, he peppered it right over to Kevin Durant. We saw them in the fourth quarter get back some of that good ball movement that we saw in the first quarter.
This is a missed bucket there. Transition, the feed to Harris, who hits the reverse. Nets leading at 113-109. And finally, a bit later in the game, this was the one that would put it away. 113-111 and get it to KD again.
Just look at this beautiful drive here by Curry. That is a really tough pass out. He delivers it on the money, and then that was the dagger from Kevin Durant.
The game summary brought to you by Infinity. 120-116. Trae Young with 33. Kyrie had 33, and KD had 34. So the Nets finished this season-long 7-game homestand 6-1, and their offense overall wasn't consistent probably for the full 48. Having said that, Rebecca, there were these pockets where the offense was dominant.
And they were efficient the entire game. They shot 55% from the field. Their issue was turning the basketball over in this game. 21 turnovers. Atlanta was able to get 29 points off of those turnovers. But they set the tone early by moving the basketball around, and then late when they needed to, they moved the basketball around. But it was impressive because we were talking coming into the game who's going to be the third scorer. And we said a lot of names. We didn't say T.J. Warren.
Right.
And he was just terrific. This does not look like a guy who has missed a large chunk of time due to injury. It's only his third game back. And he was in a rhythm. We saw the pick defensively that he had against Trae Young, but he really looked solid on the offensive end.
All right, let's take a little bit more of Warren's work. And the fact that you mentioned this at half, I mean, for a guy that's coming off 2 years missed with knee problems and surgeries, he doesn't look like he has any hesitation.
Yeah, and to be able to hit that shot, one dribble, pull up, fading to his left, here a step back again, able to get his feet underneath him. I mean, this does not look like a guy coming back from injury, and he has great size. He has the ability to create for himself, and we saw this play a little earlier. He started it all by getting the steal initially, and again, off the bounce. So it's not like a guy coming back from injury who's just looking to step into a catch and shoot. I mean, he is creating. He looks well-balanced. He just looked terrific today.
14 points in this one, 6 of 8 from the field. That goes to that efficiency you were talking about, but it's not all right around the basket for him either.
Yeah, and it's step backs, and he took good care of the basketball. We mentioned that for Brooklyn. They were having issues throughout the game taking care of the basketball. At least midway through the fourth quarter, he didn't have any turnovers. I don't know exactly how many he finished with, if he had any, but just really solid play on the offensive end.
All right, we're going to take our first break here on the postgame show. We got a lot more coming up as we recap the Nets winning at 121-16. Jacques Vaughn, we will hear from him after a break. Easy money against the Hawks. I'm not sure it was easy, but KD plays like that anytime he's on the court. And more player reaction as well with Megan and the media when we come back right after this. And we're back with final stats from the Nets and Hawks, including our key to the game, turnovers. They were a big reason this game was so close. The Nets committing 21 of them while Atlanta had 17. Brooklyn turned up the heat from beyond the arc in the second half, which is when they hit 10 of their 13 three-pointers. So it is a 121-16 win. Let's hear from head coach Jacques Vaughn.
Jacques, this Atlanta team would not go away. What did it take down the stretch for you guys to pull out the win?
Megan, we out-rebounded somebody tonight. Come on now. Huh? You gonna leave with that?
Big offensive rebounds.
Let's
too.
go.
Yes.
We showed that to the team after. Some big just possession, winning plays. And that's what it boiled down to. It's just the opponent that night. And for us, whatever it's going to take to win, whether different rotations, somebody's in, out, all the above. We're getting to a place where you're just doing your role in order to help us to win. Some big rebounds at the end of the game, some execution that was pretty good, and overall, 6-1 homestand, so pretty good.
I know a stat that you're not going to like is that turnover number. Was there anything defensively that the Atlanta Hawks were doing to kind of disrupt you guys?
Teams are going to continue to trap Kevin. And I think before the half, that I took that mistake as far as the play that we ran and where I had guys on the floor. And so I think overall, if we can keep things pretty simple, when they do trap Kevin, we have multiple guys that can get to the middle and be an outlet. And the last time out, we said specifically who we want the ball to go to. So we might have to build from that direction and say specifically we want the ball to come out of the trap and get to this person, then we'll build from there to alleviate some of the pressure that Kevin has when they do double team him. We don't mind the double team. When we do get it out and we get it out successfully, good things happen. So we'll continue to embrace it and get better at it.
Coach,
got two. Oh, go ahead, Christian.
Coach, I don't think my eyes deceive me. Kyrie's not 7 foot, but he grabbed 11 rebounds today. Just what did you see from him?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. No limitation of size. When you want to rebound, is if you want to rebound. And so it's interesting. You had a couple possessions on the defensive end where Royce had to box out a Kungu, and that was a tough task for him. And we asked other guys to come in and rebound. So you see it on both ends. Kai got in a position, I think, to get offensive rebounds because he was attacking the rim. When we get to the paint, usually good things happen. Sometimes we do settle for our threes in mid-range. That's part of who we are. But when we can get to paint, collapse the defense, make them react a little bit, good things do happen.
And second, just you guys finally finished this homestand 6-1. Just what are some things that maybe you guys learned or discovered during this stand that you can carry over onto the road?
Whoever plays can contribute. Tonight, Day'Ron Sharp comes in and gives us great minutes, and that's what we want this team to be built around. To be able to be in a position when playoffs come around and your number's called, that you have confidence, your teammates have confidence in you, that's what we're building towards. I challenge the group for consistency, whether that is holding the team to 13 points in the third quarter one game, but giving up a 20-point lead in another game. And so can we continue to be in a mental space of being a consistent team? That's our challenge.
Jacques, I got two for you. Ben got around 21 minutes tonight, came out, scored, I think, first six the first eight. Just what'd you make of his first game back in a bit?
Yeah, you see the shots that we were able to get with just his pace. Atlanta had been playing a lot of zone. Half of those possessions, they couldn't even get into zone because Ben is pushing the basketball up. We're getting open threes out of that. You see different guys get different looks when Ben is handling the basketball. Now it's going to be a challenge of he's handling the basketball, not handling the basketball. Can we be efficient both ways with him rolling to the rim, him being in the middle as an outlet? So we still got a challenge ahead of us.
And then just TJ had the first good game back and then kind of a bit of a lull and strong rebound tonight. Just what have you made of his first 4 games as a whole?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't really play golf, but like every now and then, like that first time when you get back out in the summertime, you play golf and you just hit, it's not thinking about it, and the ball actually goes straight for me sometimes. That's kind of what that first game was. And then you start to think about, okay, I really am playing and I need to be in this position. I need to have this form and I need to play with this guy. TJ's still filling this thing out. 4th game, not playing a ton of minutes right now. Being in the first unit, in the second unit, he's kind of filling out the game. And I talked to him today about that. Like, it doesn't have to come all today, next week, week after that, January, February. We want him ready for the playoffs and what he can bring to the team. Will he play tomorrow? TJ will not play tomorrow.
That's just twofold. I mean, with Nick, obviously Atlanta can score and they've got a lot of weapons, but how much of them shooting, 505 was you missing him? And do you expect him to be in tomorrow or still?
Big part of it. We'll see. I haven't got a chance to get the performance team and see, how tonight looked with all the guys yet. But you see the difference. I think in the first half, way too many drives at the rim, where sometimes Nick will come over and save the day for us. So it's a great lesson for us to appreciate what he does. It's a great lesson for him of what he does for this team, and he's appreciated, and how important it is to be available every game. Those things are important when you're starting. And so great lessons all around for our group.
And in Kevin's case, he came in leading the league in minutes. Obviously, you needed all 36 that he gave you tonight. Do you expect him to be available in Indy?
I will say, Brian, the minutes are adding up. And I'm not sure where he sits at as far as I know probably he and Royce are probably top 5 or 7 or somewhere around there in minutes. I'm going to be honest with you. We'll always be smart. I told you short-term, long-term. I'll see how they came from this game, but the minutes are adding up. And if we can get through tomorrow, the schedule is in our favor to get a little break, but I'll see how these guys feel after this.
And Jock, mentioning tomorrow night in Indiana, you guys were just there, your last road game, actually. What do you see as the biggest challenge, especially coming off of a back-to-back and also building off of what you guys have done here at home?
Yeah, hopefully we remember what it was like going into the fourth quarter with that team. The emotion, the poise that I talked about at that time that we had, and the lack of also. And it's interesting to play the team 4th time before the new year. So we know who they are. They know who we are. And I'm looking forward to going up there and trying to get a win. Thanks, guys.
Well, the official score for tonight's game with a late save to get Lobo a win, because on the pregame, your key to the game was rebounding, and they did edge them. It was tied. The official score shaded them ahead 39-38.
I mean, it was vitally important for them to be able to hang on the glass in this game, and they did a great job of it. And they mentioned Kyrie Irving with 11 rebounds, but I thought there were a lot of instances where it was just really good team rebounding. You had a couple guys boxing out so somebody else could swoop in and get the board. There was was a play in the first half where there was a nice tap out by one player so that his teammates could get it. And then that huge offensive rebound tap out by Royce O'Neal on the last offensive possession for Brooklyn. So I thought overall it was just a really gritty effort by these guys to make sure they were able to compete on the glass.
Also want to throw some more numbers at you. Ben Simmons, we knew he'd play about 20 minutes. We thought he was going to have more of an impact scoring right from the outset because that's what he was doing. He ends up with 6 points, but 7 rebounds, 7 assists. So he was one of those guys, when he was on the court, pretty effective on the glass.
They might have been the first 6 points, though. Like, he got fired out of a cannon after not playing the last few games. But you heard Jacques Vaughn talk about it. He really sets the tone in terms of pushing the pace. And a lot of it is because he can corral the defensive board and you don't have to worry about an outlet. He can just push and go the other way. He's so strong in the way he fires the basketball around the court. So the numbers may not be gaudy, in particular the points, but certainly he was very impactful in those 20 minutes.
All right, we're going to take another break. We got more coming up here on the postgame. Nets win it 120-116. We'll break down Kevin Durant's night coming up right after this. You still have to marvel when Kevin Durant gets the ball in his hands. Given his size, Rebecca, the fact that he has control over his body to do shots, like make shots like that.
I mean, he was incredible. His ability to get into the paint, in particular in the first half, and you heard him with his interview with Megan talking about how he was able to get those touches inside. Well, it's not like it was on passes from his teammates. It was simply his ability to get past his defender, multiple defenders oftentimes, as you see a bunch of guys running at him. And one of the most impactful plays of the game was here. He had just come back in the game. It was as if he was saying, all right, I've had enough of watching you guys mess around. I'm going to make sure we're going to win this game.
34 points on the night. Most games with 25 or more points in franchise history. You take a look at Vince Carter first, Brooke Lopez, Richard Jefferson, and then Kevin Durant is closing in on our colleague. And on any given night, Rebecca, and you saw that tonight with some of the moves he made, he always has that size advantage, and he uses it.
Yeah, and the size and the length because of where he shoots the basketball in terms of his high release point, it's ridiculous. He's one of those guys, every time you watch him, you're just kind of in awe. You know how great he is, and then he does something that you're like, yeah, he's one of the best players of all time.
And you were right, by the way, because Ben Simmons did score the first 6 points of the game for the Nets. But let's dig a little deeper into his performance, because when he was out there early, he was really gritty in getting some of this action.
Yeah, I thought it was important for him. You know, does he going to look aggressive? Was he going to look like the guy that we saw right before he missed this last stretch of games because of injury? And he was aggressive on the offensive end. He was getting deflections defensively. He did not look like he missed a beat, and he was pushing the pace when he got a chance to get out in transition. That's a beautiful touch pass right there back to Joe Harris. But in limited minutes, I thought Ben Simmons was very impactful.
Yep, first game since November 28th. He had missed the last 4 games, ends up with 6 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals as well. So defensively being a little disruptive against a Hawks team that, if you can get them to make a few mistakes, might get in their head.
Yeah, and because of his size when he's defending out on the perimeter, whether it's a switch or it's his primary assignment, we saw that in the highlight, but it happened a couple of times. Just him having high hands, and the smaller guards aren't used to that. He's able to get those deflections, able to get those steals. And it was important, again, without Nick Claxton, for them to have that big body in the game when he was able to be out on the floor.
That's a great point. All right, we're going to take another break. We got more. Kyrie Irving having his biggest impact starting in the third quarter of this one. 13 points at the break, and then he started getting his gears going.
Yeah, he really came alive, and we know how good he is when he puts the ball in the deck and gets inside the paint. But in the third quarter, he was also hunting his three-point shot, and why not? He wasn't missing. See him coming off of a screen, just stepping up in the catch and shoot, bobbling the basketball, give it right back to the man. Stepping into the three, he was perfect in the third quarter. 3 from 3, 4-3 from 3, made all 5 of his shots in the third.
He hits some really tough shots. I think that's what stands out about Kyrie. 11 of 21, 5 threes. Sometimes they don't always look pretty. They're not necessarily on balance, but he makes them look good.
Yeah, and we saw some that looked beautiful today. He had that one where he caught it under the basket and threw it up over his head and got the and one. But it was the other things he did tonight, too, that were so impressive, because we've seen him. He can always score. Yeah. He got a bunch of rebounds tonight, 11 rebounds tonight, and we saw a play where he dove out of bounds to save the basketball. When your superstars are bringing that extra energy and not just looking for their shots or looking for their offense, but doing the other things, it really does energize the rest of the team.
Yeah, that kind of gritty play gets your attention, the attention of your teammates. Of course, everybody at Barclays as Kyrie went flying into the stands. He was one of 5 scorers in double figures. Joe Harris had 10. Let's hear from Joe.
Joe, when you look at this game, how are you guys able to pull it off down the stretch?
You know, end of games is all about execution. You know, even though we gave up a couple of timely buckets, we were able to go back and execute offensively, whether it was getting a good look or, you know, Royce had some big-time offensive rebounds on the stretch that helped to extend some possessions for us. But that's what it's all about, end of the game, you know, trying to make winning plays.
And Jacques Vaughn said that after the game he showed you guys those offensive rebounds. How good was it to see that, especially because so much conversation has been centered around that, and this Hawks team is 9th in the league in rebound?
Yeah, I mean, you know, those are the stuff that, you know, sometimes can get overlooked a little bit. So it's good that, you know, we're really hitting on it, just showing some of the winning plays. And, you know, Royce does that every game. So, you know, for him to get a little shout out at the end of the game, I mean, he does that all the time. But particularly tonight, it was huge, timely offensive rebounds that helped to extend possessions for us.
Joe, you guys came into the game with your starting 5 having the best defensive rating in the league. Just what do you think has made you guys so good at that end?
I think just the ability to, you know, have guys guard 1 through 5. You know, when we have a bigger lineup out there, you know, you're really able to put a lot of pressure on the ball handlers because, you know, you got guys that can just switch, red out, defend. You know, we're plugging a lot of the gaps. Communication's been good. And, you know, when you have 5 guys that are versatile like that, it just kind of keeps everybody, the synergy is good. You know, I think that's, you know, one of the main reasons why we've been able to be effective defensively.
Were you surprised at all that Kyrie grabbed 11 rebounds?
Now he can definitely do that too, especially. I didn't even mention him, but he had some huge offensive rebounds for us as well. You know, maybe not as many as Royce down the stretch, but he had a lot there, especially even some from free throw ones where you don't even expect him to get it, but he's just down there battling.
Joe, it's only been 4 games, but, you know, TJ had another good night. Just what have you seen from him in the small sample size you guys have had him with?
Yeah, I mean, TJ is great, and obviously, you know, it's going to take him time to get back to his full form, but what he's giving us right now is awesome. And, you know, I don't think for him, even 700 days off, whatever it is, that guy can still fill it up no matter what.
You played against him in college, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
For you guys now for tomorrow, what's going to be the challenge to kind of build off of this and correct some of those, just some small lapses that you guys have seen?
Yeah, I mean, the last time we played against Indiana, you know, they really stretched us out. You know, they had a lot of really dynamic offensive players. They play fast. They get to shoot a lot of threes, and just a lot of really good, young, talented players. So, you know, it's going to be a big game for us defensively. We really got to lock in.
You guys just went 6-1 on this homestand. What are some of the things that you guys contributed to the results that you maybe be able to carry over to on the road?
I think just trying to stay defensive-minded, doing all the little stuff, making sure that, you know, I think offensively for us, you know, having Kai and Kev, you know, they're obviously going to be able to score and carry us that way against anybody that we play against. So as long as we're locked in defensively, you know, that's really where we're going to win a lot of games.
Joe and Megan had a good exchange about those key offensive rebounds late in the game that kind of helped the Nets seal this one. And it's worth underscoring your point about rebounding. Not a lot of them, 39 to 38, but 9 of those were offensive rebounds for the Nets, including those 2 that really counted late.
Yeah, and they kept talking about winning plays, and that Royce O'Neal tip out so that they could get the possession again, forcing Atlanta to foul is a winning play. When we talked about earlier in the game with Kyrie Irving saving a ball out of bounds, winning play. Edmund Sumner, where he cut his hand, unfortunately, but, you know, diving out of bounds to save a loose ball and then ends up with the photographers is a winning play. It's all those extra effort plays. So we're going to point to that one with Royce O'Neal at the end of the game because it was the end of the game, but it's those energy plays that happen throughout the course of a game that really lead to a tough, gritty victory like this.
And hearing you say that reminds me that they must be listening to Jacques Vaughn's message because as he said post-game, I'm challenging them on their consistency. If you put enough of those winning plays together, the W's are going to pile up.
Yeah, without question. And again, the first quarter of this game, and they're really moving the basketball, and they have 10 assists. Well, then a coach is going to expect 10 assists every quarter. When you're taking care of the basketball, not having some silly turnovers, coaches are going to expect that. And in the third quarter, because you heard Jacques Vaughn in the presser talk about some of the turnovers they had because Kevin Durant was getting double teamed. You can live with those. It was some of those turnovers that they had in the third quarter. I think 3 or 4 times in a row they just came down the floor, and it was silly, unfocused turnovers. Those are the ones that you're trying to eliminate.
We're going to take another break. We got more coming up here as the post game continues. Nets win it 120-116, 6-1 on the homestand as they get ready to head to Indy. Back once again here on the Nets post-game show as they win 120-116. Kevin Durant pacing the way with 34 points. Let's hear from KD.
TJ had, 14 off the bench tonight. Looked pretty good, showing off his offensive game. What did you see for him tonight?
Just getting his feet up under him. He an efficient player, man. He 6 for 8. We over there on the bench saying, like, man, he just finds his way to the basketball, to the rim a lot. Cuts. He just felt like he in the right position on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, he good at getting into the ball, creating turnovers. So, yeah, I mean, look good tonight. It's going to get even better as he gets more comfortable and gets his legs up under him. And it's a process. But, I mean, go 6 for 8, 14 off the bench, and feel like he ain't sweat at all. I mean, that shows how talented he is.
Kevin, Jacques was talking about just, obviously not every game is going to be pretty, but making winning plays. Were there any plays down the stretch that stood out to you that maybe weren't baskets but swung the game in your favor?
Yeah, we seen Royce get like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds there in that fourth quarter that were just huge. Kyrie had 2 that were huge. How many we end up with? 9. Like, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You rarely see us do stuff like that because we're so small. But they went in there and put their nose in there and got some rebounds for us and create some extra possessions for us, which was key. And it's the reason why we got those threes late.
I was going to say Kyrie had 11 rebounds. Just when's the last time you seen him do something like that?
5 offensive, So, we're going to need everybody helping rebound. We need everybody to be in there boxing out. And it's going to be a group effort on the boards for us. So we was able to out-rebound them by 3, which is, pretty good. And then Capella only had 3 offensive rebounds, 1 under his average. So you can say we did our job in that area.
I was going to ask that just so many times you come in here and you look at the stat sheet and you say, oh, well, we gave up 10 more shots because we got killed on the boards. Just being able to even hold your own or even or close to even, how important is that going forward for the rest of the season to turn this from like a, playoff team, contending team to a real championship contending team?
Yeah, I mean, they still shot 10 more shots than us, but I think that's more so because of the turnovers. But if we keep, if we get more possessions than our opponent, then we always put ourselves in good shape. We're an efficient team, so if we're able to get looks at the basket, we can knock them in. So 29 assists, I mean, that's starting to be who we are now. Like, when we get mid-20s, 30s in assists, that's just our game now, so I expect us to do that. So we continue to move the ball, we're going to find good shots, and I think we're always looking for the better shot. We might have a good one, but we kick it to a great one, so we got to keep doing that.
Kevin, you guys have gotten a lot of guys back during this homestand. Ben tonight, Nick should be quick. You get Yuta tomorrow. Just with Yuta coming back, as you guys have trended well shooting, just what does he add to this group now?
Just length, athleticism, IQ. Obviously, he's shooting the ball well, but that stands out because everybody loves makes. Everybody loves to see the ball go through the rim. But when he's able to switch, guard guys with his length, rebound, cut to the rim, he does all the little things. And then when he knocking down shots, that just turns him into an incredible player. So we're looking forward to his energy. We know being out for a while in the league, you miss 1 or 2 days, it's hard to get back in rhythm. So for him to miss almost like a couple weeks, I'm sure we all going to be patient with him, but, he's excited to get back.
Are you playing tomorrow?
As of right now, you got to talk to Jock about that.
How much are you in that conversation how much is your voice in that conversation compared to Jacques' voice and the training staff?
I just listen. I just tell whatever they got my best interest at heart, so I just listen to whatever they say and go with it.
Okay, now he can put the microphone back. As we mentioned earlier, the Nets will visit Indiana tomorrow night when they start a 4-game road trip. Coverage on Yes and the Yes app begins at 6:30 on the FanDuel pregame. This will be the last meeting between these clubs in the regular season. Indiana leads the season series 2-1. So KD, if he gets his way, he's going to play in that game. We do know, listening to Jacques Vaughn, and we heard from KD, Yuta Watanabe will be back, but there will be no Ben Simmons on the second half of back-to-back, and no TJ Warren as well.
Yeah, and we'll see whether or not Nick Claxton will be able to play tomorrow. So what Brooklyn wants to do is build off of all of the things that they've been doing well and that they did well tonight, getting those winning plays, as they were talking about a lot in the presser. They need to improve on taking care of the basketball. That's one of the areas where they struggled a little bit. But their energy, their effort was really good and solid, especially in spurts. They had moments where their defense was really good, moments in quarters where they really were able to move the basketball around and get good shots. But, yeah, that's going to be an interesting part of being on the back end of the back-to-back is what's the roster going to look like tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. All right, 6-1 on the homestand. They head out on the road. They'll play the Pacers. Tomorrow night, tip a little after 7 o'clock. Pre-game on Yes and the Yes app at 6:30. Thanks for joining us. Nets win it 120-116. They'll look to back it up with a win on Saturday night. Until we see you then, take care.